Welcome back to Biggie Outdoors at the top of the hour. We welcome in those just tuning in, and for those of you who have been listening, we're headed into another great hour of outdoor radio with Biggie and Brandon here at Biggie Outdoor Studios. This hour is brought to you by one of our great supporters at Outdoor Edge Knives and Cutlery, makers of the swing blade and other great tools for the outdoorsman. Check them out at OutdoorEdge.com and get yourself one of the best hunting knives or cutlery sets you'll ever own. Also buy Koala Buck coolers, portable walk-in coolers for the sportsman, a great way to save your game when you're traveling on a hunt and want to keep your meat cool. Find them online at koalabuck.com. Now, stay tuned for more Biggie Outdoor Radio. Biggie Outdoors, located at Cedar Creek, is reopening its doors soon after its new remodeling. Home to the area's first and only big game hunting museum, with educational exhibits displaying animals from around the world and facts around the hunters' contributions to their survival. Pick up some unique souvenirs and gifts from the museum and from the Biggie TV shows. Meet the pro staff from Biggie TV and Biggie Outdoor Radio. A great place to stop in with the whole family. And while you're there, book your next hunting trip with the Biggie Outdoors Professional Hunters. With over 21 personal hunting destinations worldwide, you'll be sure to find a quality getaway with the Biggie Outdoors destinations. Biggie Outdoors is also home to Adrenaline Hydrographic. Check us out online at BiggieOutfitters.com and register to win a free hunt. Biggie Outdoors at Cedar Creek. Hey, welcome back to Biggie Outdoor Radio. We're back with a brand new hour. Brandon, over the weekend, actually, I saw an article, then I saw a news report on somebody that actually died from swimming in the Little Wolf River from the blastomycosis.
Is that E. coli stuff going on there?
No, the blasto.
Oh, the blasto. Yeah, sorry.
So now it has claimed one death. So, they say that thing can be deadly, but now it has been to somebody. So somebody's actually had that for, when did that come out, June?
Maybe they were swimming for deer season.
No, I highly doubt that.
Well, that could be. I mean, deer swims across the river. He's got to go get it.
No, they wouldn't have died that quick. But anyway, that's a sad deal.
It is.
But it makes you wonder what the heck's going on with that river and why. It's a fungus, isn't it? You don't you get blasto from a fungus or a mold spore or something? Let's find out. But
I thought you got it from a dog.
No. I know a dog that has it, but it says one person's dead, linked to the 2015 blasto outbreak in the Little Wolf River near New London. And let's see.
We were actually
There were 118 confirmed cases of blasto in Wisconsin. Oh wow, including 11 deaths that the department's aware of.
So yeah, this isn't the first one, but there's another one now
That's the one to that river.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one death associated with that river. 49 cases, including one death with that river. They believe the exposure happened throughout the summer, starting Memorial Day weekend through July. And they say it's uncommon, but it's a serious fungal infection. It primarily affects your lungs. So
we were actually considering going tubing down the Wolf River over there for something to do during the summer with some friends of ours, and we actually canceled that. In fact, Megan was going to have her bachelorette party over that way, and they called off that part of it.
it says that according to the CDC, blasto lives in the soil and in decaying organic matter like leaves and wood. When you disturb the soil, then the fungal spores become airborne and you breathe it in, and that can cause you to become ill.
So, time out here. Why all of a sudden is this becoming something for doing that decaying organic matter, doing leaves and stuff? Because
somebody must have been doing some work along the river there. They had to have been.
Okay, but that gets disturbed. It has been for centuries. I mean, this is a natural thing for leaves to get in the rivers and the lakes and stuff like that, and they sink and become sediment and all that. So why is this just all of a sudden? There's got to be more to it than that. Got to be more to it.
Maybe there's not.
Maybe there's
Then
not.
why
Maybe,
weren't-
maybe
was-
just now they figured out how to tell you that it's blasto, just like this, just like the CWD.
Maybe there was some redneck mudding in the river, tore it up too much.
Could be. You never know.
I still believe there's more to it.
You never know. It could be the whole zombie epidemic thing.
You guys and your zombies.
Hey, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yep. So throw makeup in a zombie. Have you ever seen a zombie?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, actually, wait a minute.
I think I seen one this morning when I stopped by Brandon's place. When I drug him out of bed, he wasn't
Got a-
looking in the
yeah.
greatest shape.
Yep. The beanie covering it up right now, huh?
Have you ever sat here and watched out this window long enough? You might see some zombies or some very, very close.
We call them mall walkers.
Yeah, they're walkers for sure. And there are some that
They're
look.
kind of in a catatonic state.
Yeah, and they just kind of walk up and
Whoa.
down the mall.
Oh,
There
yeah,
he
no,
goes with the
sorry.
big words again.
Big words
Catatonic. You want me to get out the dictionary?
Or whatever that other dinosaur thing was you were talking about earlier. But,
Oh, Brandon.
man,
You need to get some
killing me
sleep or
this morning.
something.
Holy
Hey, have we had any? Were there any hunting accidents during deer season this year?
There were, but it was down from what I understand. But that's easy to understand too because there's less people in the
There's
woods.
less deer. There's nobody shooting at anything.
Yeah. This one here was in Ohio. They're talking about a local hunter recovering after he fell nearly 30 feet out of a deer stand. Folks, that's easy to fix.
wear your safety harness.
Wear your safety harness, use a lifeline crawling up. I do not understand why it is that every year you hear about all these people falling out of your deer stand.
If you think it ain't ever going to happen to you, guess again.
Yeah.
I
Because
actually
we
a
have
couple
had-
years ago lost the bottom portion of my climber when I was coming down, and it somehow got unhooked from the top portion and dropped down, and there I am hanging with just the top portion of my climber. Thank God my buddy Randy was nearby, and I gave him a call, and him and his son climbed up the hill and climbed up. And there was no way for me jumping down that far, and or even jump to the other tree, which I had thought about before I got a hold of him. And he came and got it back up to me so I could come down. But the simple fact, you got to take care of yourselves.
Yeah. That's why the lifeline helps you so that if you're crawling up or down and that happens, you're going to, and heck, you can even build your own lifeline, for crying out loud. There's a lot of them out there. I mean, Hunter Safety Systems makes one, and they're the leader in this, is for sure. But get yourself something to keep yourself safe. There's no reason to be falling out of your stand if you're wearing your safety equipment. Always wear protection. That's what we talk about here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, that's they said anyway. It said
yeah.
this guy didn't suffer any serious injuries, but 30 feet the guy fell, and they said that's the most common hunting injury is people falling from tree stands. Yeah, they had one guy that was paralyzed when he fell in October of 2015. One guy was killed when his tree stand collapsed, and and his son actually made a little video on Facebook asking hunters to wear safety harnesses. So, and here's another thing: you don't have to even go buy it, because if you buy a new tree stand,
They come with them,
they come with them.
They come
Might
with
be a
them.
cheaper version, but they all got harnesses with them.
and
Every one.
they
of them.
work.
Yep. Yep. They all work somehow. So there's no excuse for it. So we don't need to hear about anybody getting hurt out there. Now, how about anybody getting shot this year? Was there anybody that got shot, or did you hear about it?
Yeah, there were a few in the state.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know any good stories?
Did
No,
they
I
have it
can't-
coming?
No, not that I know.
Oh, okay. I mean, I shouldn't joke like that.
Were
I
they
mean,
shot on purpose?
You would hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would hope not. It says right here. Let's find out. No. Oh, this is just how to report one to the DNR. But our guns. This is what's funny right here. like I said, the last day, all of a sudden they say that we're up from 2014. I still get such a kick out of that. What in the world is going on here?
There you go.
There we go. Wisconsin gun deer harvest up slightly from 2014. Well, actually, that wouldn't take much because 2014 was, what, a 30-year low?
Yeah. And but here's the thing. Towards the end of the gun deer season, they were saying that it was percentage points lower than last year. Then all of a sudden, boom, it's higher. It just didn't happen.
Yeah. So, state wildlife officials predicted the harvest would be up somewhat. Oh, so that's why it was up, because they had to be right with their predictions. There were 8 hunting accidents during the 9-day season. 5 were non-fatal. That means 3 were fatal. There was one in Rock. Let's see, the non-fatal ones were in Rock County, one in Marathon County, Jackson County, and Polk and Manitowoc. And 3 were fatal. Columbia, Waushara, well, there's hope, and Marathon counties. So we don't know what they were yet. It doesn't say, but the muzzleloader season is opening December 9th. Well, open through December 9th, and archery through January 3rd. So
I don't know any details on it, but I heard about the one in Marathon County at work.
Did you?
And
what was
it was somebody who was either related to or good friends with somebody that I work with, and I can't remember any details on it, but I do remember hearing about it now that it's brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's there's another one that strikes close to home, Waushara County. I mean, we used to live down there.
Yeah, we did, and you always hope that it's not somebody that you know.
But somebody knows them.
Somebody knows them,
them.
and it's
Yeah,
tragic to hear.
Yeah, it'd be a sad thing for someone to go out hunting or their loved ones to think that they're out hunting, and then all of a sudden find out that Jimmy or Johnny or whatever had an accident and they're not coming home for Thanksgiving dinner.
Or Ed.
Yeah, or could be anyone. So I guess our thoughts go out to and our condolences to anybody who had anybody that they know or love that had a hunting accident, and let's just hope that you guys hunt safely out there, because
it can happen to anyone at any time.
Yep. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break on that note, and we'll be back with some more Biggie Outdoor Radio. Welcome back to some more Biggie Outdoor Radio. Before the break, we were talking about some of the tragic accidents that went on, and actually we looked up here. We got one of them that happened down near Portage, Wisconsin, and just a very tragic deal here, but it always makes you kind of wonder. This one here happened with looks like a husband and wife, and that's one reason to make sure that you always treat your wife right, especially if you're going to take her hunting. But anyway, the hunter was Brian Jackson, 39, and it's very sad. And he was hunting near Portage, and he was handing a rifle up to a 35-year-old woman in a tree stand when the gun went off. Now, you're supposed to unload these things when you hand them up to somebody.
Common sense, that's the way I was always taught.
And then the other thing is he was handing a loaded gun to the woman with the barrel pointed at himself.
Hello?
If I got a loaded gun, I'm going to hand it to the woman with the barrel pointed at her. No, I'm just kidding. You don't hand a loaded gun to anybody, but he handed the loaded rifle up to somebody with the barrel pointed at himself, which is a big safety mistake right there. And this one turned deadly. When she grabbed a hold of it, supposedly she grabbed the trigger.
Boom, done.
And it shot him under the armpit and killed him.
Oh man, that is terrible.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. That's just common sense, though, and that's the problem. So many people, and it's just not with hunting. It's a lot of different things. Just use common sense, people.
Yeah. Yeah, they airlifted him to the Madison where he was later pronounced dead. And, you get a deer hunting round shot through your chest like that, you're your chances are not very good.
You don't have a lot of time.
No. No, it sounds to me like the one that was in Hr County was a stray bullet. That was a 56-year-old man, and I can't get the article to come up because for some reason it's not. But they are saying that the Hr County Sheriff's Department was still looking. It was near Mount Morris, and that they were still looking for leads and asking for people to help them figure out where the round came from. So there, if you know anything about that, or if you were hunting near the Mount Morris area, and you might know anything about it. But stray rounds, again, they happen, and when people are making drives and they're shooting at running deer and they're shooting, a rifle bullet can travel a long way. But again, what are the basics of hunting, Brandon? I mean, what you're supposed to know your target and beyond.
Know your target and beyond, yeah.
Well, we talked about that, in one of our earlier shows. We talked about that
leading up to deer season, yeah. And it's unfortunate. Accidents always happen, and I don't think there's any way that we're ever going to be able to prevent them all.
Right.
It's just unfortunate because a lot of these, well, not a lot, all of these accidents can be prevented by your basic common hunter safety rules.
Right.
That you're taught. I mean, I was taught that back when I was 12, 10, 11 years old.
Well,
actually,
right.
before that, when I started hunting with my father, before I could legally hunt. It's just, I mean, the old hunters taught you. I know many times I got cuffed upside the head when I was with the group when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, where that gun barrel wasn't pointed in the perfect direction all the time. Right upside the head.
You
Pay
remember
attention.
it.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that's the thing, that obviously if you have a stray bullet that goes out and hits somebody, that is somebody that did not know their target and beyond. It was the beyond thing. Yeah. They might have been shooting at a deer.
Yeah.
That's great. They knew their target, but they could have been shooting across a field or maybe over a hill, something like that. And didn't know.
And that's a big one. There's a lot of people that don't think anything of it. That deer's up on a ridge a little bit. Well,
what's on the other side of the ridge?
What's on the other side of that ridge? Because the bullet ain't going to just hit a tree behind the deer. It's not going to just fall into the ground behind the deer.
In fact, you're shooting up, so that bullet's going to carry a long way.
It's going to really carry, exactly.
And then again, the unloading your rifle or your weapon before you cross a fence, a river, crawl into a stand. I mean, how much longer does it take? We do that and we practice it even on these ranches, just walking up a stairway to the blind.
Yeah.
Make the guy unload the rifle.
Yep.
Yeah.
That few seconds can result in one really bad accident.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Zach and I, we went out when we went out by our buddy Wyatt, who got his buck this opening weekend on Sunday. When we went out there, we had to cross a fence. And guess what? We unloaded our rifles and we handed them to one another. It was a fence in the backyard of our other buddy's house. And we got out of the truck. We loaded the rifle in the yard there. And then we got behind the barn and seen there was a fence. Guess what? We unloaded them, handed them to each other, and then loaded them again after we crossed the fence. You can never be too careful. Never.
No, you can't.
And it can happen in your own yard. It can happen anywhere. So just be careful. Practice those hunter safety rules. That's why they're the first thing taught to you in hunter safety. You get to hunter safety. I remember when I got to hunter safety, there was a pamphlet, there was a sheet sitting on the table, and on that sheet had those 4 basic rules.
Yeah.
And that was the very first thing we talked about.
It
is.
Here's another one, and we can only speculate on this one because they don't give, on either of the articles, they don't give the full story. But this is an old one. This is another accident anyway. That this here was up in Tomahawk. It was a couple years ago, and this guy returned from he died of being shot in the leg, and he was supposedly some famous comic actor who lived out in Los Angeles, and he came back always to deer hunt, and it said that the witnesses were called by Lincoln County Sheriff's Department, and they found him they were doing CPR on the guy, and they found him dead. I guess he was dead when they got there. The family was trying to revive him, and down at the bottom it says it looks like he accidentally shot himself. Oh no, that was a different fella, a 32-year guy. They don't even say what this guy had done, but all they know is that he returned to the cabin on his ATV, shot in the leg. And so they started giving him CPR because he collapsed right after he got off the ATV. And so nobody really even knows what happened to the guy.
He shot in the leg. He just bled out, basically, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's what happens most of the time when people die. It's because they bleed out.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else can be, if you can stop yourself from bleeding out, that's the biggest thing.
So probably when that guy had the accident, he probably had an accident getting into the stand, maybe himself, and shot himself in the leg, or maybe someone else shot him, but they actually never did find out, what he had died from. So that's a really sad part. Can you imagine being a family member and then having some guy come back on, your brother or somebody come flying in, and all of a sudden he just collapses and he dies, and nobody even knows what happened to the guy. So.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah. So. Got to be safe out there. You got, there was another one that, well, likely if he shot himself, he definitely could have prevented that from happening by unloading the gun, practicing safety. If he was shot by somebody else, either they didn't know where it was beyond the target, or maybe he wasn't even wearing his orange while he was driving through the woods. Those kind of things happen too. How many times have we seen that stuff?
Oh man, yeah. That's
Gun deer season, you have to have your orange on.
Yeah. And you know what? That brings up something else too. How many times have you been out in the woods and seen people walking along a gravel road, and just because they're not hunting, they just don't wear orange, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm not hunting."
Yeah, exactly.
it's not for their safety; it's for your safety, you moron.
Well, no kidding. If you're not hunting, there, ding dong. But there's 600,000 other people out here that are.
Yeah.
And it sure would be nice if they could see you, because when you take a stray bullet, then you're going to be crying and blaming it on somebody because they didn't see you.
Yeah.
And all
the anti-hunters are all going to get all over that again.
I mean, come on, use some common sense, people. I mean, if you're going to be outdoors during the gun hunting season, put some blaze orange on, wear a vest, put a hat on, do something, for crying out loud. Reminds me of we got a minute left. It reminds me of a quick. When we had land down in Hr2 County, remember that time when we had the public land next to us and the goose season was going on at the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was getting early in the morning, and I'm watching out in this grass, and you could see this moving across in the grass. And I mean, it looked like the back of a deer. And I kept saying, man, that does not look right. There's something definitely moving in that tall grass, but I don't know what it is. And I said, just stay, we're just going to keep watching that. And I kept seeing it moving and moving and moving, and I said, well, there's definitely something out there walking around in that grass, but it did not look right. Now, there's a lot of hunters that would have shot that. But as it got light out, we realized that they were goose hunters out there in their camo, crawling around in this tall grass, waiting for the geese to come off. No
Which is
orange
fine,
on.
you can do that. But
Yeah.
I think the law actually states that you do have to have orange on when you're doing that during the gun deer season.
They argued that they didn't have to because they were goose hunting, and they didn't have to.
I could be wrong, but I always thought you had to still have some
the
amount
thing
of
is,
orange.
It's
on.
like I told him. I said it doesn't. There's a big difference between what you have to do and what you should do. That common sense tells you.
Common
you should.
sense, exactly.
You know?
And
Do
I'm
you
a
want
big
to be
goose
a
hunter too.
statistic or what? Come on. Well, we're going to take a quick break on that. We'll be right back with some more Biggie Outdoor Radio. Welcome back to Biggie Outdoor Radio. This segment is brought to you by Bruise Brothers, located on Highway X in Weston, just off of Highway 29. Fresh burger ground daily from country fresh meats and awesome hand-cut fries with all the tasty seasonings to choose from. They got plenty of tap brews with 35 beers on tap. If you haven't made your way on over to Bruise Brothers yet, you need to head on over and check them out. And tell them Big E sent you, and they'll give you a little something special from us just for mentioning it. But head on over there, and you'll be hooked up with the best burgers in town. That's Bruise Brothers on Highway X in Weston. Welcome back to some more Biggie Outdoor Radio. Hey, Brandon, and Scott. I should exclude Zach here just because he's quiet.
He is here.
He has piped in a few times.
Yep.
I saved a couple videos because I'm saving them for when the anti-hunters open up their mouths, Brandon. But I got to turn the volume down on here so you can watch these because we don't need this coming up on the radio. But these videos are of butcher shops butchering venison or butchering beef. I mean, so when these anti-hunters and all these people come up and they say, hey, why are you out there killing animals? You should be buying your beef at the store like everybody else does.
I watched this video on
I've
Facebook.
seen that. Oh, yeah, that one.
Yep.
This is some good stuff right here. The one is this butcher, and I mean, I'm going to tell you, this happens. I know a butcher that does it this way. Where this guy is in the corral and he's actually shooting these cows in the head. They're in a small corral. I know a guy that actually does it in the trailer. He's got them in the trailer. They come in. He stands at the back of the trailer with his rifle and shoots them. And I seen him miss one time and actually put the bullet through the back of the trailer. But I mean, it's
How did
and these people
You're
don't think
kill-
about it. But that's nothing. That's nothing. Because the other video is even worse. And this one here shows how most butcher plants do it. And it shows the machine, the contraption that the cows walk into, and it's a cattle catcher. It closes on the
Yep.
chute,
And it spins them around?
upside down, and they cut their throats.
and then they have to suffer.
But you have to have. That's how you get kosher beef. They have to be bled out like that. You can't shoot them. So the cows come in. The next one comes in. Boom! It tips them upside down. They slit their throat. They bleed them out. They throw them over on the side. They pick them up by their legs and bleed them out. And these people are sitting there and they think, I'm just going to buy my beef at the store, and it's so much more humane. They grow the cows, and the cow. What do they think? Do they think this cow just dies of natural causes?
Yeah, if it dies of a natural cause, normally they're not allowed to eat it then because they don't know why it died.
Yeah. So they must think that they're eating cows that have died of heart attack or something like that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if they watch this video and see where their beef comes from, this will really change things for them.
Yeah.
And so I save these videos. So when they open up their mouths and they come on and they start condemning hunters.
I mean, they're in a minute and 18 seconds. We watched them
Kill two.
kill 2 cows.
Two.
Well,
That
they
was
weren't
three.
actually
Three, yeah.
they weren't actually dead yet though. They had to bleed out.
Yeah. They did 3 cows.
Yeah.
And how
So-
humane is that?
Yeah.
How humane is bleeding out?
Yeah, they slit their throats and let them bleed out.
That's the
And
anti-hunter again, not realizing what they're really talking about.
Yeah. Now, if he's an anti-hunter, complete vegetarian, you got something different because he's not eating any meat at all. So now you got a whole different argument. But 90% of your anti-hunters, they're not complete vegetarians, and they have no idea what they're talking about. I think they really think their meat grows in the Walmart meat section
There you go. And of course, that's always the best meat to get too.
at Walmart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Walmart.
definitely. Yeah, that's the good stuff. That's when you cook it up and you start out with a hamburger that's 5 inches around, and it ends up being 2 inches around when you're done with it.
Yeah.
But it just blows my mind. And when I saw them 2 videos, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm saving those babies. I'm saving those. So, you guys, you got any new rifles or anything? Anybody get any new guns? Because they're talking about the 10 cheapest or best quality cheap rifles to get.
I can tell you, I did see an article on Facebook. Black Friday.
Yep. I just read
Yeah.
that today too. Yeah.
Yeah, Black Friday. What did we sell? We sold enough weapons to.
To
It's the
start
biggest-
our own branch of the army.
This is the biggest sale
Or military.
of most
Most weapons sold.
yeah
We sold enough to supply the Marine
background
Corps.
checks ever in one day.
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, bullets are getting cheaper again, so people can afford to shoot things.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Nothing new for me for over a year now. Oh, just about a year.
Actually, I heard that there's a gun show coming up in Marshfield, and I may consider going over that way and looking at getting something for Megan.
Really?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Might go and see what they got going on over there.
Well, if you're looking for some good quality, inexpensive rifles, there's actually an article here if I can figure out how to get to it.
Scroll up.
Yeah, scroll up.
Yeah, you're at the bottom.
It says that. Well, let's see here. What I know that the Weatherby Vanguard is one of them that's on here, on the list. I don't know. Have you ever experienced or taken a look at the Weatherby Vanguard?
No.
No. And I know that another one is that Remington. They're saying that Remington 770, and I don't really know if I'm a believer in that Remington 770.
Why is that?
Well, I think the thing is cheaply built. They're talking about the Savage Model 99. That's a good one. Supposed to be under $500 if you're looking for a cheap rifle. And then we got the Howa. The Howa, I don't even know how to say that. The Howa Hogue, and that one comes, I think, with a scope. It comes a short action or long action. It comes as a complete setup. And I actually looked at one of them down at Chase Outdoors over here in Rothschild. That's a pretty good rifle. And let's see, what do we got here? This is the
Single shot.
Legacy.
H&R, yeah.
H&R. You can get it as a rifle or a shotgun. And then we've got the Marlin X7. Another one you can get for under $500 if you're looking for. Of course, you always got your 30-30 lever action here. Looks like if you want to start out, Mossberg has one, the 464 lever action. And you can always pick up one of them for under $500 if you want to shoot the old 30-30. And we have Mossy Oak. This one's available in Mossy Oak. What is this thing? What does it say?
270 win, or 243, 270, or 30-06 comes in.
It's a Mossberg.
Is it a Mossberg rifle?
Yep.
Oh, well, there you go. And then here's that Remington Model 770. Now, Brandon and I have seen that Model 770 before. We actually had used some of them on some of our gear giveaways on our TV hunts, and it's okay. But when you're closing it, it feels like a cheap rifle. To be honest with me,
It feels like a toy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I did pick up that Howa, and that Howa actually feels like a pretty decent rifle, well put together. So when you're looking at rifles that are under $500, what do they got? The Savage Model 110. And I have never heard of this one. The Mannlicher.
Mannlicher.
That's what it says. It says
Schonauer.
Mannlicher Schonauer.
Mannlicher Schonauer.
It says Mannlicher. I'm telling you, I am not buying any gun that is a Mannlicher. I'm not buying any Mannlicher, nothing. I can tell you that right now. Folks, I'm not lying to you. It's Mannlicher. If that's not Mannlicher, I don't know what is.
Lich, not Lick.
The Weatherby Mark V. Of course, we all know the Weatherby always has some a lower end gun. They got higher end guns too if you really want one, but the Weatherby Mark V is a good gun to pick up. And then there was a couple of runner ups and stuff, and those are also by Weatherby and as well. But Weatherby and Marlin. So just if you're out there looking and you want to pick up a cheap rifle for a kid to get started, or for somebody, or just as a secondary rifle carried around to whack coyotes with or something, you do not have to go out there and spend thousands of dollars to get a good rifle, or to get a rifle that'll go out and shoot a deer, or to go out west with. You can pick one up for $500-$600, and a lot of these are rifle kits that actually have the scopes on them already. So
It might be for you. It might not be for you. I prefer to buy a nice.
well, not everybody can though, Brandon.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No.
I prefer my nice Browning with the scope of my choice.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you can get a Browning. A Browning right now, a lot of them are at like, if you take the Browning with a synthetic stock and the blued barrel, those are right around $469. So you can actually get into one of them at a fairly reasonable price as well. I mean, you don't get a scope or anything on it, but
See, I'm not really a fan of the synthetic stock neither.
no, I'm not either.
I like them good old fashioned durable wood stock.
Yep. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So there you go.
If you want to
got,
go all out, you can get a custom rifle made by Central Wisconsin Armory or by Hart Rifles and
Absolutely.
have
Yeah.
that thing toyed right out, spend you the money and get you something that's going to shoot long range.
I might have Central Wisconsin Armory toy out my 7 mag, my white gold. I think that'll be fun.
Yep. Let's take a quick break on that and we'll come right back with some more Biggie Outdoor Radio. Hey, welcome back to some more Biggie Outdoor Radio. Brandon and I are going to wrap up this hour here. And the rest of the guys are taking a quick break. And Brandon, we know this guy all too well. We've seen him at shows.
Oh yeah.
We heard about him. He just cannot stay out of trouble. And he's back in the news again.
Yeah.
But this
Jail
is,
time and a 1-year hunting ban,
Yeah.
which I already thought that he had. But yeah.
Yeah, I think this might be an older article, but it actually is talking about him. He's all over the place again, and people are talking about him on social media again. And there's a lot of guys out there that are in the hunting industry and on TV that if you make a mistake, that's fine. But when you do it repeatedly, that's you probably need to be off TV. And he's still out there. So we're talking about Spook Span here, Warren Spook Span, and the article starts out says that he just can't seem to get it right. And this article is talking about him being on probation after being convicted of violating the Lacey Act. He was caught turkey hunting
This spring.
while he was on parole.
Yep. Caught turkey hunting this spring in violation of his parole, which included a 6-month hunting ban.
Yeah.
And it says here that it led to the U.S. Magistrate judge.
Sentencing him to 30 days in jail and banning him from hunting anywhere in the world for 1 year.
Wow.
Wow. So federal game wardens received information that he was not only assisting other hunters, but he was illegally spreading bait, and he was under a hunting ban as a condition of his parole at the time. So I believe the Lacey Act is something that has something to do with being able to hunt with guns.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what the Lacey Act is, but I believe it's got something to do with felons or with people hunting with guns. Maybe after a domestic or something like that. Lacey Act, the conservation law in the United States prohibit trade in wildlife fish. Oh
okay.
boy. Okay. So
Not what we thought, but
no,
still
it's
a
not.
big deal.
He must have illegally taken, possessed, or transported or sold. So that's what it was. It's poached wildlife basically. So it prohibits the trade in wildlife, fish, and plants that have been illegally taken. So
Yep.
it's a poaching act. So that's definitely a bad deal, and it resulted in more problems for him. So he's back in the news anyway, and so we'll kind of let that go at that. Another group of hunters that got themselves into some bad trouble. There was a group. This happened again this year during the deer season. This happened November 25th of during our gun season, and this is in the gun season out in Pennsylvania. And this just blows my mind. This is just ridiculous. There were 8 guys that were arrested, and they had over a dozen deer, and they were looking at over $10,000 in fines. And what happened, these guys had a trailer filled up with deer. They had a whole bunch of dead deer in the trailer. You see them all laying there on the ground.
Yep.
And they had 18, it looks like. The suspects had no intentions of checking or registering the 18 deer that they killed. And they had plans on staying there in Pennsylvania until the end of the week. So they don't know how many deer that these guys would have actually killed by the time it was over. They actually, the DNR, it sounds to me like they distributed these deer out to families that were in need and things like that. But they caught these 8 guys, and they were driving around Pennsylvania, just poaching deer, gutting them out and throwing them in their trailer.
And they actually were not in a trailer. They were on an open trailer.
They were.
They were on an open flatbed trailer. I'd seen this article on Facebook, and you can see here in the picture even, there's the trailer that they were on. They were not inside of a trailer. They were just driving around with them out in the open.
On a trailer.
Yeah. How bold is that?
It says that they were hunting without licenses. They had loaded firearms.
Not wearing blaze
And they were
orange.
not wearing blaze orange.
And they were driving with loaded firearms, yeah. Unbelievable. How bold.
What were these idiots thinking? I mean, did they think that they weren't going to get caught driving around with a trailer load of deer like
And
that?
you can't tell me out of those 8 guys that they didn't know the laws to at least have hunting licenses.
That's just blatant stupidity.
It is. That's ridiculous. And you know what? That's what gives us the rough name, the hard name, and that's why we're arguing with these antis so much, because of people doing stupid crap like this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Scott and Zach are back joining us right now, but it was 8 guys in Pennsylvania. These guys are driving around poaching, and they got nailed. And they had 18 deer already on the trailer, and they were intending on shooting more. They're just driving around, and
Common
so
sense.
evidently
again.
there's more deer in Pennsylvania than there are around here, because I think they'd have been driving around for a long time looking for 18 deer here. But
And the thing is they were already on the trailer. You know, how many of these deer came from private land that these guys trespassed on? How many of them did they shoot at night in the spotlight? How many were shot out of the truck? You know, not only was just what the DNR could prove they're illegal, but how did they take these deer? How many of them were actually taken by what would have been legal means if they had the licenses?
what's the matter with shooting them out of the truck?
Well, nothing really.
It's
but
too
you know.
cold to get out of the truck.
No, but seriously though,
Yeah.
that's another thing to think about too.
Yeah, unreal. So, and then we were talking about Spook Span, and you know the show, TV show Spook Span.
Nope.
Never watched it. Well, he's a TV host. He got nabbed for poaching first of all. Then he was on probation for that, and
He was on a 6-month hunting ban.
and then now he's on a year hunting ban and had some time in jail because he got caught hunting on TV while he was on that hunting ban. So.
Yep. So we're just kind of filling the guys in here that were on their break and letting them know in case they wanted to pipe in about anything or not. But
Here is probably one of the best things that could have happened for hunters over the world. And hunters, you may not know it, but this is a huge break for you. This is a good win. This is a plus. It says that the horn, the actual ban on trading of rhino horn has been lifted on the trading of legally harvested rhino horn. Now, at first you're going to sit here and you're going to think, well, geez, that's going to be terrible because that's going to open up the doors for poaching. It's actually not. Now, what that means is the guys, all these places over there that have rhino horn, first of all, grows back.
Yes.
It's like a fingernail. So all of these ranches and all these farms over there that are raising rhinos, which right now the reason the rhino is around is because of those places. And if they would count all the rhinos that are on these privately owned places, they wouldn't be on the endangered list anymore. But this allows them to make some money to be able to continue to raise them because they can harvest the horn, and it also makes that rhino not worth anything to the poacher because they've taken the horn off. So
Absolutely.
they can bring it in as they're growing this rhino. They can cut the horn off. They can sell the horn. And now they got a rhino out there with no horn. Number one, the rhino can't kill another rhino. and poachers don't have any value for it.
Yeah.
And when the horn grows back, they can dart it, they can cut the horn off again, and they can keep on raising rhinos. It gives them a reason to raise more rhinos.
Yeah. And, actually, this is, if you don't realize yet how big this is for us, this isn't a new bill that they just decided to challenge right away. This is a bill, that went into effect in 2009. I can see there on the article. So,
Yeah.
six, almost 7 years later, they were able to overturn this thing.
To be able to harvest it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's taken them that long. They just now.
Yeah.
And this will actually help pay for the protection of the rhino, too, and pay for the people that have to be out there the game wardens and the people that, because they'll tax it, they'll tariff it, and that will help pay for the game wardens that are needed to help fight poachers. I mean, you think poachers are bad in the U.S. Poachers in Africa, that's a whole new thing.
They'll die for it.
They do.
They do die for it because there's so much money.
There's more money. There's more money to be paid as a poacher over there than there is for some of those guys to work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's where hunting comes into the effect too, as far as helping stop the poaching.
Yep. Yeah, over there, the game wardens on the Kruger area, the Kruger Wildlife Area, they kill 500 poachers a year. So
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
And the sad thing is, and I believe that we had talked about this in the past, the sad thing is a lot of these poachers are people that were hired by somebody higher up.
Yeah.
Who don't have the balls to go and do it themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's an industry for them.
Yeah.
It's an industry. Well, let's take a quick break on that. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about this because this is a big deal for hunters. I'll be right back with some more Biggie Outdoor Radio.